We're going to talk about week 12 waiver wires. Some injuries happen, man. Some big consequential injuries. We're going to talk about them at the top of the show. Then we'll talk about some of the waiver wire pickups I think we should be looking at. We start this at the top with Josh Jacobs. He gets the knee injury, but it's just a contusion, thankfully. So Emanuel Wilson, he's still a good pickup because his week 12 is in doubt. So Emanuel Wilson, make sure you guys pick him up because he did actually play really well. He had, I believe, 13 fantasy points. So a good little week there for Emanuel Wilson. Looks good, in Josh Jacobs' stead. So he's definitely someone we want to pick up, but it's not going to be a long-term one. Drake London, this one is brutal. He also gets a knee injury. We were expecting a sprained PCL for both Jacobs and London, and Jacobs avoids it, but London doesn't. He does have a sprained PCL. He's week to week. So that could be multi-week. It could be 2, 3, 4. It could be up to 6 weeks, man. We've seen that with a couple players this season. This man was a wide receiver 1. He was a league-winning wide receiver. He was scoring like 18 fantasy points a game. He was absolutely fantastic. Who's going to step up in his stead? That's the fucking question. That's what I'm really wondering. Now, logically, it would be Darnell Mooney, right? But he has not been great this season. Not even close to great, man. He's yet to push 10 fantasy points. He's getting targets when he's healthy. So he had a fractured collarbone, I believe, or he broke his collarbone like the first day of training camp. So he's been pretty bad, right? Pretty hampered, pretty bad the entire season. Doesn't look the same explosive self. The past couple weeks, though, although he hasn't really done much, the team has said they're trying to increase the rapport between him and Penix. But Michael Penix is now out. He's out for probably the season. We're going to talk about him a little bit later, but Darnell Mooney is probably the guy we want. I told you guys to stash him last Friday. I said that he's someone that was dropped to a lot of leagues. Stash him because they do want to increase his workload. Looks like that paid off for me, man. I picked him up. It looks like he's going to potentially be the wide receiver 1. It could be a bunch of other guys, though. Let's be honest. Like a lot of different names on this depth chart could step up, right? Kimani Vidal, another one. Struggled, got injured, but came back in the game. He's probably going to play. There's a bye week, and then Hampton can return in week 13. So there's not really a replacement there. Jaylen Warren gets injured, leaves the game briefly, but said he could have returned. But then Kenneth Gainwell came in and looked great, man. He had I think 26 fantasy points. So Jaylen Warren is a great running back. He's been really good for us this season as a late round pick. And whenever he's out, Gainwell looks really good in his absence, man. So you need to make sure you have Gainwell just in general. He's one of the better handcuff pickups, definitely in the NFL, because this is a team that wants to run the ball, as you guys know, with Arthur Smith. And then any given week, there's always the randomness of Gainwell having a big game as like a pass catching back. But we might have to pour a little cold water on that because Aaron Rodgers, wrist fracture. They said it's just a small one, though, so I don't really know. I don't think you want to pick up anybody. Michael Penix going to be on IR, looks like, and it might be even season ending. So Kirk Cousins, if you're in like a 96-man league, you could pick up Kirk Cousins, start him in like a 8 quarterback league. But obviously this is probably a downgrade, man, because Kirk Cousins just hasn't really looked very good. I will say, man, Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney had a little bit of a rapport in seasons past, so maybe there is something there, man. Maybe Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney can be a nice little 1-2 punch rest of the season, but this is a team that's bad, bro. They lost like 5 in a row, so they might just be packing it in this season. Then we got Bhayshul Tuten. I'm absolutely dead inside. He was having his breakout game. He was looking fantastic. He broke off a 20-yard run finally for the first time this season, and then he gets injured, man. Injures his ankle. I haven't heard much. He said he's good. So he told reporters he's good. He was getting interviewed by reporters after the game. That's usually a good sign. That usually entails that the injury is not super serious. Oftentimes, if a player gets like seriously injured, they just won't be around, man. Reporters won't be interviewing. They don't want to give away anything. So that's a little bit of a good sign. Make sure you guys pick him up because he was looking great. He was looking like a breakout. He actually outtouched Etienne, right? Even though Etienne had a great game, Etienne got his second touchdown after Bhayshul Tuten was out of the game. So, Bhayshul Tuten was honestly like a shoelace tackle away from an even bigger game, like a second touchdown or like a breakaway run. So this would have been a true breakout game, man. Then we move to Calvin Ridley, man. He's been bad. Returns, instantly gets a catch for 13 yards on like the very next snap or like 2 snaps later. Fractures his fibula. Carted out of the game. He's out. Replacement? I don't really know, man. I don't know if it's going to be Chim DK because he has now a chest injury and a concussion. Supposedly he passed the concussion protocol, but didn't come back because of the chest injury. So you probably just want to stay away. At the end of the day, this is just a bad offense. Honestly, man, Cam Ward has probably had one of the toughest schedules just looking at it. It's like Denver, Rams, Indy to open the season. Oh my God, that's absolutely horrible. Then Houston, then Arizona, who's actually been pretty decent against the pass. Tyler Higbee. Supposedly he had a little bit of an injury, leaves the game. It was actually Parkinson who gets the touchdown. Terrence Ferguson is someone that I really like as a rookie, but I'm not really sure you want to start anyone. They just rotate them so much. Next, we got a couple quarterbacks. There aren't many, dude. There's a lot of tough matchups this week, and a bunch of quarterbacks got injured. So we need to figure out what we're going to do here. Trevor Lawrence is someone where he's playing the Cardinals. Their defense is actually decent against the pass, but Trevor Lawrence has 5 rushing touchdowns. So when they're in the red zone, when they're on the goal line, on the 1 yard line, Trevor Lawrence is actually like somebody who they use quite often on like QB sneaks. So he has yet to have really like a super bad game. Like his lowest game was 8 fantasy points, where after my dumbass just started Tua Tagovailoa, 8 fantasy points would have been really nice. Bryce Young is another one, guys. He just had 31 fantasy points. Now, it's difficult starting Bryce Young. We know what he can do. We know he can get 2-3 fantasy points, but they're playing against the 49ers, who just got gashed by Jacoby Brissett for like 500 passing yards. The 49ers defense is opportunistic. They let up a lot of yards, but they get takeaways, and they're a lot better against the run than they are against the pass. Their secondary is just banged up, right? So Bryce Young in a game against the Atlanta Falcons, it could be another shootout, right? I envision the Panthers to be playing from behind too. So, I mean, honestly, guys, you guys just have to look at the matchups. There really aren't many. There's some bye weeks. So Bryce Young and Trevor Lawrence are kind of the only guys who are like on the waiver wire and are kind of startable. Next, we got Sean Tucker, had his annual pop-off game. He does it once a season, then disappears fully. He has looked better than Rachaad White. Gets the opportunity against a really bad Bills defense, only plays 44% of the snaps, but has 33 fantasy points, 3 total touchdowns. It fucking sucks because now he not only does he play the Rams up next, but Bucky Irving might be back. So that might have been just like a 1 week wonder yet again. Coach Bowles was asked if he's earned himself more work, and he said it's hard to say. So if that's his answer already, he's saying like probably not. It's brutal. I still think we should pick him up. Just he's a good handcuff, and there's still a chance Bucky Irving doesn't play this week, right? Like they said they're going to ramp him up and get him into more involved in practice this week, but you know, he's got a shoulder injury where he hasn't really taken contact on it yet. Last week, he was doing a lot of non-contact stuff. So the team said they don't want to play him until he can take contact on his shoulder. And there's always re-injury risks, right? So I still think he's like a top waiver wire pickup. Next up, Devin Singletary. It's kind of disgusting, but he's essentially split the backfield with Tyron Tracy since Cam Scatabo went out. And I think something that's been a little bit overlooked is that Tracy has yet to have a single goal line carry within like the 5-yard line. It was Cam, and then it moved directly to Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary had 4 carries inside the 5-yard line just in this game alone against the Packers. Gets 2 touchdowns. So he's their goal line back. He's their short yardage back. He's going to be like the 45-50% player with Tyron Tracy. That makes him startable, man. That makes him somebody we can start. I mean, in this Packers matchup, which is one of the worst matchups for running backs, he has 17 fantasy points. I mean, they played Detroit and New England on tap and then a bye week. So that's a brutal stretch. I think you can pick him up as like a speculative ad. If you're super down bad with bye weeks, you can always throw him in, right? I know these are 2 really good run defenses coming up, Detroit and New England, but if they get on the 1-yard line, if they get a pass interference in the end zone, it's going to be Devin Singletary likely, right? I do think it can shift a little bit, and Tyron Tracy should get a little bit more goal line work, or you should get 1 or 2 at least coming up in the next couple weeks. But nevertheless, Devin Singletary is definitely someone we want to pick up. Then we have Keaton Mitchell, my fucking boy, dude. This is a guy that I've loved as a talent forever. Last year when he got some opportunities after a lot of injuries, or I think 2 seasons ago, he looked great. Right, he was fantastic. He was scoring a lot of fantasy. Let's actually have a look at it, man. 19 then 13 fantasy points, playing like 18% of the snaps in those games. You know, he looked great on a yards per touch point of view. He has like all green on yards per carry, like every single game he played. But then he gets injured again. He's just an undersized dude, but nevertheless, man, he's great. He's got juice. Every time he's been given opportunities this season, he's been amazing, dude. Look at that, 10 yards per carry, then unfortunately only 2.7 against the Miami Dolphins, but then 7.7, 5.17. He's getting more work. He had 9 touches or 9 opportunities in this game. Then we got Derrick Henry, man, getting up there in age. That makes Keaton Mitchell one of the better handcuffs, somebody that we definitely need to pick up. Chris Rodriguez as well. He's essentially the starter now. 15 carries for 79 yards. They just didn't use him enough. Honestly, they should have. He was just absolutely popping off against the Dolphins. Every single time he got the ball, something good happened. And then they just stopped using him, right? They went over to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, right? So it's possible he was dealing with a little bit of an injury, or they just wanted to get Ja'Cory a little bit of work, right? Because he's this rookie that they really liked. But he's somebody where, honestly, out of these 4 running backs that I listed, it's probably Chris Rodriguez at the top, because I think he has staying power. Like, I think he's just going to be the starter the rest of the season, right? Even though it's a bye week. And then they come out of it against Denver, an okay matchup for running backs. Minnesota, not great. Giants, Philadelphia, Dallas. So there's a couple decent games in there. Next, we got Michael Wilson. Next, we got wide receivers. We start with Michael Wilson. This one was fucking crazy, bro. 18 targets with Marvin Harrison having an appendectomy, I believe. And, 15 for 185, man. Most yardage on the season by any wide receiver. Absolutely insane. He looked great as well. He's honestly always been a pretty good wide receiver. He's been very talented. He just never got opportunities, man. And obviously, Kyler Murray, he's just not a good quarterback, man. So Jacoby Brissett is somebody who can actually push the ball downfield. Michael Wilson is somebody where we have to pick him up, dude, because I saw a report that Marvin Harrison might miss more than just last week. because he might have appendicitis. So if Michael Wilson is going to be this hyper targeted, I mean, he's probably not going to have 18 targets again, but if he can hover around like the 8 to 10 targets, man, which is very possible in this offense, he is somebody we definitely have to pick up and start. If Marvin Harrison is out, we need to start him. And I think he honestly earned himself some more work moving forward. Even when Marvin Harrison comes back, like, bro, this dude was cooking. He was cooking defenders all day. We need to give this man a little bit more work, dude. Even with Harrison coming back. I'm sorry, dude, but Harrison has not been able to produce like this ever with the amount of volume that he was getting. So Christian Watson makes one of the nicest touchdown passes of the season. He goes 4 for 46 and 2 touchdowns. Double coverage. Again, I told you guys a couple of weeks ago when he was still on IR, make sure to pick him up because I think he's going to walk in and take Matthew Golden's job. He ended up doing it. Matthew Golden is essentially somebody who's not only droppable, he's dead to me. I don't want to see this man anywhere near any of my rosters. Such a talented guy. I don't know why they drafted him in the first round. Nevertheless, Christian Watson, he has more rapport with Love, more rapport with his coaching staff. He's 6'4", runs like a 4.3 40, so it's probably understandable why he's being this effective, right? Like 10, 6, 5, then 18 fantasy points. I think it's just going to continue, honestly. I think he's just their best down the field threat. I'd still view him very boom or bust. He essentially has to get a touchdown or like a deep bomb for him to pay off because he just doesn't have a lot of volume, right? 4 targets, then 5 in this last game. So next we got Luther Burden, guys. 4 fantasy points, nothing to write home about, but he officially played ahead of Olamido Zachariason. So 44% of snaps, and Zachariason only played 13% of the snaps. So Luther Burden is officially now their slot wide receiver. Now the Bears are playing with a lead, so that's why he didn't play very much, right? If you're the slot wide receiver, usually the team's going to want tight ends out there so that they can run the ball. The slot wide receiver is just going to take a back seat. That's just how it is. Think about Khalil Shakir. Think about Josh Downs. Think about some of these slot-only players. They just don't play a lot of snaps, right? He had a couple drops, but when he did make a play, when he did catch the ball, he looked great, man. He looked versatile. He looked great after the catch. He plays Pittsburgh up next, man. And I know the Pittsburgh Steelers looked pretty good last week or this week against the Bengals, but they've been bad for most of the season. So that's definitely a defense. I think you can probably start Burden this week. I know that's fucking crazy for a guy that only had 4 fantasy points, he only had one game over 10 fantasy points where he had that 18-point game. But he's somebody I think this week against the Steelers, this could be a back and forth game, man. Like, I think Mason Rudolph and the Steelers could actually hang with the Chicago Bears. The Bears just tend to let teams hang around, dude. Look what they did with the Vikings. I might be starting this, man. I might be desperate. I'm like, 10 and 12 in one of my leagues with the median. And I need some upside, dude. I need a guy who can maybe cook, maybe have like a blow-up game randomly. All right, guys, tight ends, really only one name of relevance. AJ Barner, 11 targets. He goes 10 for 70. Look, I think this was just the circumstance. They're playing from behind against the Rams. The Rams have really good corners, really good secondary. So AJ Barner just finding stuff underneath. He only had 7 yards per catch, man. So this was a dude that was really just playing underneath. We love the volume, but it's not volume we can count on, man, because just the week prior, he had literally 0.3 fantasy points. So he's definitely someone we can pick up. At the end of the day, he's on a good offense with a good QB and a good system and a good coach and all that stuff. So if you're playing like the odds and you're just hoping that your guy can maybe get a touchdown, he's somebody that I actually like. Honestly, you can do a lot worse, man. And then finally, we end this with Darnell Washington, dude. He body bags like 3 defenders on one run. He played 71% of snaps, which is big time. The Bengals were really bad against tight ends. I mean, like, absolutely far and ahead the worst team in the NFL against tight ends, and nobody really performed, right? He had 8 fantasy points. Nobody else really did anything. Jonnu Smith was horrible. Pat Freiermuth only had like 2 fantasy points. So 8.7 is actually decent, 71% of snaps. He's a really good pass blocker, and he can actually run. He can actually catch the ball and make some runs. So, 5 targets, 4 for 67, body bags a couple guys. Maybe he gets a little bit more work moving forward because of that. They see that he's got big play potential. He's an absolute beast out there. So I think he's actually a decent little pickup if you're absolutely desperate like me and you don't really have any tight end. That does it for the video, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I truly, genuinely appreciate it. If you want to show support, like the video. It's the best way for the video to reach more people. Subscribe if you want to catch more of this. We're going to be doing videos the rest of the week. Discord link down below. We're talking ball in there. We're helping each other with sit starts, trade advice, all that kind of stuff. It is the last week for trades in a lot of leagues, so make sure you guys join and throw your trades in there, and then you can get advice and help from us. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.